Hello there, Austin here, or Luna, your friendly neighborhood storyteller, commentator, whatever you want to call me. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day so far. It's Wednesday evening. I woke up 45 minutes ago at 6:45 p.m., by the way, not a.m., p.m. So yeah, my sleep schedule is absolutely fried. I am tired. I am cooked, but I'm doing good. I hope you guys are doing good. Hope your Wednesday was good. Hope your week's been going good. The weekend's almost here. Let me know if you guys have anything fun planned. I don't. But yeah, anyway, today's story time, it's a good one. It's a crazy one. It's a wild one. It's a little bit funny at times, maybe. I don't know. It depends on what you think is funny. I think it's pretty good. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. And yeah, before I get into it, as you guys know, I just dropped my new song. It's called Backseat. I'll put it first link in the description. Definitely go check that out if you haven't already. The support on it has been crazy. Thank you to everyone that's liked the song and, tweeted me and tagged me and, told me how much they like it. Really appreciate it. And thank you for streaming it. Okay, anyway, today's story time. Let's get into it. So this story time is about the time that I accidentally took edibles before school. I know someone's going to run to the comments and be like, bro, you've told this already. I've already heard it. No, this is different. Trust me. So yeah, let's just jump into it. So today's story time all takes place back in the year 2015. This was right before I was done with high school. Life was going pretty good. Can't really complain. YouTube was doing well. It was starting to blow up. My life was going pretty well. Other than school, I wasn't a big fan of school, obviously. You all know this. But yeah, life wasn't bad. Life was pretty good. This all started off like any other normal day in high school. I got up out of bed. I was running super late, so I quickly showered in 5 minutes. Didn't have time to eat anything. Got on the bus. I was in the very back seat with my friend, just hanging out on the way there. And this friend that I was sitting with, we'll just call him Ethan, okay? Now, Ethan was my biggest stoner friend of all time. To this day, I haven't met anybody that was more into smoking weed than Ethan. This man, he was like a walking meme, bro. He had the Huff socks with the weed leaves on them. He would wear Wiz Khalifa shirts every day. He would smoke 24/7 before and after school. He was always high. Even in school, he'd find some way to do it, right? So, yeah, he was funny. He was a funny dude, right? Now, we're on the way to school, and I don't know what I did. I don't know what I inhaled or what I was choking on. But out of nowhere, I had this crazy coughing attack, and I start gasping for air. And he's like, yo, here. And he hands me his Gatorade, Ethan. And I take a sip, and I drink it, and it didn't do shit. I was still coughing, still fucking super out of breath. So I take another big sip, and before I know it, I take 6 giant gulps of this Gatorade. I pretty much killed half the bottle because I was literally just choking, right? And I couldn't get whatever it was down. And finally, after killing half the bottle, it's gone, right? I feel better. And then I realized how funny this Gatorade tasted. I was like, what the hell did I just drink? That didn't taste like normal Gatorade. That tasted weird. And I looked over at Ethan, and he looked at me with this, strange look on his face. And I was like, Ethan, was there edibles in that? He goes, yeah, I thought one sip wouldn't hurt you, but you took half the bottle down. And I was like, Ethan, how much was in there, bro? How fucked up am I about to be? He goes, you're okay. You smoke sometimes. You have a tolerance, right? I was like, not really, bro. Because at this time I wasn't. And he's like, all right, well, you're going to feel it. Yeah, you're going to feel it soon. But you'll be okay. And I was like, Ethan, what was in there? And he goes on to tell me that he had these homemade THC drops that he made that you can drop into drinks and make them into THC drinks. And I guess he put quite a bit of these drops in this Gatorade. And it must have been a lot because I could taste it. If he dropped a few drops in this drink, I probably wouldn't have tasted it, but it must have been a lot because I literally tasted it so bad, towards the end of drinking it, right? Now, I'm looking at him. I'm starting to freak out. Panic attack is definitely going into full force because I'm aware that I'm about to be extremely high and school hasn't even started yet. So the rest of that bus ride I spent in silence, just in my head. And every 5 minutes, Ethan would look at me and be like, yo, are you good, bro? Are you good? Are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. And then we get to school and we walk in and Ethan's like, all right, I'm gonna go to my locker. Bro, if you need anything, just text me. I'm like, yep, all good. And he goes to his locker. I go to my locker and then I go to my first period class. Now, first period, I didn't really feel much, luckily. I actually felt fine. Second period, however, right when it started, that's when everything started. It's like this thing hit me all at once, bro. In the past, when I've eaten edibles, it comes on gradually. I don't know what the hell this shit was that he had in that drink, but it came on not gradually. It was like the second I sat down in second period, within 5 minutes, I was feeling this shit full force. I've never had that happen before with an edible. I don't know what the hell this was. It was weird. But I'm not feeling good, right? Immediately, I'm like super like tunnel vision. My body felt tingly. I was looking around the room and I could swear I was seeing things. Obviously, I wasn't, but like I was tricking myself because of how high I was. I was like, wait, did that just move? Like literally just paranoid, pure paranoia, right? And I remember like halfway through second period, my stomach started to hurt. And I'm like clutching onto my stomach. I'm like rocking back and forth in my chair. I'm not feeling good, right? My stomach hurts. I'm high as hell. And my friend that sat in front of me, we'll just call him Jeremiah, he turns around because he could literally hear my chair rocking back and forth, like squeaking the plastic. And he turns around and he looks at me and he goes, "What's that sound?" And I was like, "Oh, my bad. It's just me." I was like rocking on my chair. And then he makes eye contact with me. And his face immediately changes. And he goes, "Austin, are you high?" And in my head, I'm like, how does he know? How does he know? And I was like, no. And he goes, "Dude, your eyes are so fucking red." And immediately I pull up my phone. I like look in the camera. And yeah, dude, they were red, like really red. And I was like, oh shit. And he was like, "Bro, what did you smoke?" And I was like, "I didn't smoke anything." He goes, "Did you like eat something?" And I was like, "Well, I drank something." He was like, "What did you drink?" I was like, "Ethan's Gatorade this morning." He goes, "Dude, never eat anything Ethan brings from home. That motherfucker's doing edibles like every day." And I was like, "Yeah, I know that now. I know." And he's like, "All right, you'll be okay. Just calm down. You'll be good." And he turns back around. So now I'm just like at my desk and I'm like, great. So I look high, I feel high, and I feel sick. This is just a wonderful time right now. This is just amazing. What a beautiful day, right? So, like I said, my stomach's really hurting for some reason. And I'm starting to feel like bad, like really bad, really quick. It was probably like a minute after I talked to Jeremiah, right? And it wasn't the kind of stomach pain where like you have to go to the bathroom. It's like the stomach pain that you got to throw up. And I was like, oh shit. So I stand up, right? And I go to walk over to my teacher at her desk and be like, "Hey, can I go to the bathroom?" And as soon as I get to her desk, I go to say, "Hey," and vomit warning, I puked all over my teacher's desk and her floor. It was the most probably embarrassing thing, like top 3 embarrassing thing at least, that I've had happen to me in high school. A whole class of like 25 kids saw me puke all over my teacher's desk and her floor. And immediately she jumps out of her chair and she's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Are you good?" And I was like, "Yep, I'm fine." Meanwhile, I'm like dry heaving and throwing up on her floor. And I'm like dying, dude. It was so bad. It was so fucking bad. And as soon as I finish puking, I go to grab some paper towel from the back of the room and go to clean it. And she's like, "No, Austin, go to the nurse. Go to the nurse right now. Like, I'll clean this. Don't worry." And I was like, "I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so embarrassed." And she's like, "It's okay. It's okay. Just go. Like, go feel better." I was like, "All right, thank you." And I grab my backpack and I'm walking out of the class and I turn around and people all over the classroom are laughing at me. It was so fucking embarrassing. And I leave the room and I'm looking around the hallway just feeling extra terrible now because I just puked and I'm just super high, right? I'm looking around and all the lights feel extra bright and like I said, just full tunnel vision. And I'm feeling super like sweaty and hot because of what just happened and embarrassed. And I walk upstairs, I go to the nurse's office, I tell her what happened. She has me lay down on this little like couch thing that she had. And I'm just laying there, right? Head on the pillow, looking up at the ceiling, at the fluorescent light, just thinking about how I can't believe this is my day. I can't believe this is the way that my day is going. My day started off so normal, and within just a couple hours, my day is hell. It is absolute embarrassing hell, and I feel too high for my own body, and I feel like I just ruined my high school career by embarrassing myself in front of my whole class like that. I just felt absolutely terrible, right? Now, I'm in the nurse's office for about 20 or 30 minutes, and she called my mom, because my mom obviously had to be alerted that I threw up in class. And my mom couldn't pick me up till she was out of work. So I had to wait like 2 hours on her lunch break to come get me and then drop me off home. And I remember while I was waiting that 2 hours, about an hour into it, my principal comes in the nurse's office and she sees me laying there and she's like, Austin, how are you? And I look over at her, still having crazy tunnel vision, still just absolutely feeling like I'm out of my own body. And I was like, I'm okay. And she goes, you don't look very okay. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I must have ate something bad this morning. And that was the damn truth. I don't know what the hell was wrong with those drops he put in that Gatorade, but it made me so sick. And it didn't help that I was on an empty stomach either. But anyway, after I said this, she was like, yeah, you must have. You don't look good at all. And I was like, yeah, my mom's coming to get me soon. I'm just waiting for her to get on her lunch break so she can come pick me up. And my principal goes, what symptoms are you having? Like, how are you feeling? And I was like, it's just my stomach. My stomach's really messed up, really cramped up, like super nauseous. She goes, that's it? No other symptoms? I was like, no, just my stomach. Why? And she's like, because you look like your eyes have been running. And in my head, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about my eyes being red. Now, I don't know how I thought of this so fast and on the spot, but honestly, it wasn't even a lie either. I was just like, well, I puked pretty good, and usually when I puke, my eyes get pretty red, which was the truth. I think regardless of my eyes being red or not from the weed, they still would have been red from me puking. And she was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And then she kind of gives me a side eye, kind of like a look of like, does it make sense or are you high? Anyway, she ends up like talking to me for another 5 minutes, then she leaves, and I thought that was the end, right? I thought this story couldn't get any more interesting. It's over, right? It's done. When all of a sudden, my nurse picks up the phone, and she's on the phone with some teacher, and she's like, oh, geez, yeah, send him on up. Yeah, send him up. And like 5 minutes later, Ethan walks into the room, looking absolutely terrible, just like me. And he looks at me super surprised, and I look at him super surprised. We both kind of have that like Spider-Man meme, like pointing at each other kind of look. And we're like, what the hell? And he sits down next to me, and the nurse goes, man, there must be some kind of stomach bug going on. You guys both threw up today in class. And I look over at Ethan, and I was like, huh, that's crazy. And then Ethan looks at me, and he's like, yeah. And as soon as the nurse turns around to like go do something, I look over at Ethan, and I like mouth the words, what the fuck? And then I whispered, check your phone. And I pulled up my phone, and I texted him, and I was like, bro, what was in those THC drops you put in your Gatorade this morning? We're both puking. And he replied, and he goes, I don't know, man. Maybe we just did too much. And then I replied, and I was like, yeah, clearly, this shit sucks. I don't even feel remotely good. And then he goes, me neither. And we're both just in the nurse's office, high out of our minds, sick to our stomachs, feeling like shit, just feel like we're about to die. And we're in the nurse's office waiting for our parents to come get us now. And finally, about 30 minutes later, my mom pulls up. She comes into the nurse's office. I follow her on out, get in the car with her. She looks over at me, and I shit you not. She goes, Austin, did you smoke weed before school? And I like damn near shit myself. I was like, what? She was like, your eyes are the most red I have ever seen them in my life. Did you or did you not smoke weed today? Now, technically, guys, I didn't smoke. So I was like, nope, I didn't smoke. Now, obviously, don't be dishonest to your parents. That's not what I'm trying to say here. Don't do that. But, you know, me being just a shithead teenager and, you know, being kind of a dickhead, I was like, no, I didn't smoke. And she was like, really? You didn't smoke at all? Because you look super high. And I was like, I didn't. She goes, okay, would you take a drug test? Now I'm freaking out a little bit. Here's the issue. So I had smoked weed 3.5 weeks prior to this. I was on a pretty long tea break. Plus, it was just giving me a lot of anxiety lately, so I didn't really want to smoke. So I hadn't smoked in almost a month. So I thought, okay, that's good. I'll probably pass. But then I was thinking about it, and I was like, wait, I just drank this Gatorade that had THC in it. There's no way that doesn't show up in my pee, right? So I didn't really know what to say. If I told her no, and then I didn't want to take a drug test, I would just look guilty. So I was like, all right, yeah, let's do it. So now I'm in my head, like, freaking out, right? Like, I'm really freaking out. I'm in the car, looking out the window, just thinking, like, what could go wrong and, you know, how I'm probably going to fail. But then there was, like, that 2% part of my brain that was trying to be optimistic that was like, dude, don't worry. You haven't smoked in a long time. You'll probably pass because of that. You know, you just put this THC in your system, but surely it won't show up on a drug test yet, right? I didn't know the science behind it. Honestly, the other 98% of my brain was like, yeah, you're fucked, dude. It's over. So most of me was just thinking it's done. It's cooked, right? So my mom takes me to the pharmacy. She picks up a drug test. drives me home. We get inside, and immediately she opens it up and hands me the cup. And I was like, okay, be right back. And I walk into the bathroom, and I shut the door, and I lock it. And I remember I just sat down on the bathroom floor for like 2 minutes and just put my head like in between my hands, just in defeat, like a fucking main character at the end of a movie that just went through like the biggest hardship of their life, just sitting there absolutely like fucking defeated looking and like main character syndrome. And after like 2 minutes, my mom knocks on the door and she's like, hurry up. I'm like, okay. So there was really no more time to waste. I did my business. I peed in the cup, put the cap on. I gave it back to my mom, and she starts running the test. Now, the test took like 15 to 20 minutes to run, so I had 15 to 20 minutes to just sit there and think about how my life was about to be cooked, right? About how I was about to get grounded, and how I was probably about to like get my computer taken from me and not be able to make videos for a while and lose my Xbox and all my stuff, right? I was definitely like freaking out inside, not feeling very good. And about 10 minutes goes by, and my mom comes in the living room, and she sits down next to me, and she goes, so before this test, like, tells me if you're negative or positive, last chance, be honest with me here, did you smoke? And I was like, no. And she goes, okay, well, the test will say otherwise, we'll see. Yeah, she didn't believe me one bit. She definitely thought I was about to fail that shit, and, get caught. And honestly, I don't blame her, because look at the story I'm telling you. I literally was being dishonest, so she had every right to, think that. So anyway, another 10 minutes goes by. It's time for the test, right? It's time for the result. And I yell out to my mom. I was like, Mom, what's the test say? She goes, hold on, I'm doing something quick. I'll check it in a minute. And I was like, all right. And I'm just in the living room, eagerly just awaiting. And like a second later, someone starts calling my mom's phone. And I hear her answer. She goes, hello. It was one of her friends that she like grew up with or something. And she's talking to her. And she's just yapping for like 10 minutes. And I'm sitting there on the couch like, dude, just give me my test result. I want to know if I failed or passed. I knew that I definitely probably failed, but I just wanted to know. Like the anticipation was just like eating me alive. I just wanted to know the result. And I hear her on the phone, like, 10 minutes in. She goes, hold on, I have to check this result. My son's getting drug tested. And I hear her walk over to the counter where the test is. And she's talking to her friend still. She's like, yeah, it's no big deal. Like, I think he just smoked weed or something. I'm making sure he did or didn't. If he did, he'll be in trouble. And all of a sudden, she stops talking, goes silent, like just dead silent. And for like 5-10 seconds, I just hear nothing. So I peek over the couch, right? And I like look, and she's inspecting the test result very closely. And I see her look at me, peeking over the couch. And she walks over to me. And she goes, Austin, I owe you an apology. And I was like, what? She goes, you passed. You're telling the truth. I'm sorry. And I was like, I passed? And I looked surprised. And she goes, why do you look surprised? Why are you surprised that you passed? And I was like, oh, I'm not. I'm just, I don't know. Like, I didn't know if it was going to be a false negative or not. And she goes, okay. Well, yeah, you passed. You're good. You can go to your room now. And I was like, okay. So I got up, I went to my room, and I remember I closed the door. And like a fucking little girl, dude, I jumped up and down with excitement because I passed the test. Now, there was this other time where she tested me again because she thought it was a false positive and I failed the second one. So I'm really happy she didn't do that. I actually talked about that recently on this channel. But yeah, she didn't do that this time. She just only bought one test. So luckily, your boy passed. There was no other test to take. And I was home free. So after this, I spent the rest of the day in my room just playing Xbox, feeling like shit. My stomach still hurt the whole day. Even though I wasn't puking anymore, I still did not feel good. And at this point, for the most part, the high was kind of worn off. And I was feeling remotely normal. And yeah, the rest of that day, I just spent playing games, kind of feeling shitty stomach-wise. And overall, just spent the day chilling. Now, the next morning rolled around, and on the bus ride there, I saw Ethan, and we both sat down in the same seat we always would, and I was like, bro, I am never drinking or eating anything you bring from home again. He goes, bro, I'm taking a break off weed, like dead ass. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, bro, after what we went through yesterday, I am not smoking for a fat minute, or eating anything. So after the bus ride, right, we get to school, and I go into school, And remember how I said earlier in the story, I embarrassed the shit out of myself, puking on my teacher's desk? Yeah, that was already becoming a problem. That was already haunting me. The minute I walked into school, one of my friends from second period the day before walked up to me with his girl and was like, "What's up, Pukey?" Called me fucking Pukey. I was like, nothing. He's like, "Are you feeling better today?" I was like, "Yeah." And then like a minute later at my locker, another person who I like barely talked to in that class walked by me and like chuckled and looked at me. And I was like, "Motherfucker." And for like a good week at school, people were just trolling me about that. Luckily, it only really lasted a week. I mean, it still got brought up here and there for like the rest of me like being in school. But like for the most part, it kind of like died out within a week, which was very good because sometimes things like that don't die out at all and they're just there and it's not fun. Definitely had a few of those in high school. Some embarrassing moments. Maybe I'll talk about another one tomorrow or something. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much the story. Moral of the story is, don't do any things I talked about in this video. Don't eat edibles before school. Don't just drink anybody's drink. And if your stomach starts to feel weird, whether you're in class or at home or wherever you are, get to a bathroom or a nurse immediately. Do not do what I did and just sit there and let it get worse and end up puking on your teacher's desk. That's not fun. But yeah, guys, that's the end of the story time. Definitely interesting one, definitely a crazy one. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I would really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you later. Peace.
'Cause you won't let me be. Maybe I'm flat, let me die in the backseat. Let me bleed out, or you're not entertained. Going outside like somebody asked me. Everybody thinking I got trouble for this. Maybe I'm